The morning, the discussions are here and our Kickstarter is ready to go. We're going to be looking to women's leadership in politics and the escalating costs of politics from a women's perspective. And of course, approaches to barriers in women's campaigns. As we do have 8 days to go, the pressure is high. The tension is even higher, and probably even the palpitations all over the place. The expectations and what shouldn't be expected is here and there. My guests are definitely also in that race. I'm joined by Honorable Amelia Chambade, former cabinet minister, as well as MP aspirant Maokota North. And good morning to you, Honorable.
Yes, good morning. Thank you so much for hosting us.
It's a pleasure It's a pleasure to have you. Next to her, we do have Agnes Namaganda, politician and women's political mobilizer and activist. Good morning to you.
Good morning, our viewers. I'm happy to be here.
All right. And we also do have Ms. Joy Chirabo, MP aspirant, Nakawa East, an independent candidate. Welcome to the discussion.
Good morning, Priscilla, and welcome all of you to the show.
Okay. Now, as we are having these wonderful ladies be part of our panel discussion today, we are looking at women's leadership and the escalating costs of politics. Globally, 19 countries now have women heads of state. You do have 22 women of head of government. Those are 22 countries. And then this, you get to also look at the United Nations, looking at the true gender disparity or parity in top political leadership, still being 130 years away from today, 2026. We'll be integrating and trying to analyze as to why that is. In Uganda alone, we are privileged to have women leadership right to the biggest office in the land. The vice presidency is to a woman. You do have the leader of government business, and that is the prime minister, also a woman. You do have the speaker of the 11th parliament being a woman. And when you look at the parliamentary breakdown, out of the 529 women, MPs that we have in the country, 66 men, and that is in percentages, and 34 women. That is something that was courtesy of affirmative action that was taken by government some time back that has led to those percentages of women increasing in parliament by and large. But we must have a starting point before we get into the nitty-gritties of women's leadership, what have been the opportunities that were created and the challenges that came with that. We must ask ourselves a simple and honest question, and I'm going to present this to my women leaders on the table this morning. If money was suddenly removed from the politics of our country, if all you needed was what the Electoral Commission required of you at nomination stage and your leadership skills and who you are to the community, what would be your confidence in winning the election and why? I'll start with the Honorable.
Yes, I'd like to thank you very much. There is no way you can divorce money from elections, from politics, especially in Uganda now. Not only Uganda, but in Africa as a whole. Because there is so much need down there at the grassroots, especially me, who operates with rural communities. You feel that there is so much you have to do for these people, for you to win their hearts. Because you find that they don't have water, they don't have electricity, they don't have these basic things. So you have to work around the clock to see that you contribute in one way or another. For example, you find that they have shallow wells, you have to contribute to see that they improve on them. So you cannot divorce money from, you can't just go on merit. Of course, I have an advantage of merit in a way, but you still have to put in money somewhere to contribute.
Okay. You have been in parliament before, and you've been a minister also. Yeah. Help us understand the role of a member of parliament vis-a-vis what you have just submitted, that you have to help extend electricity to them, give them a good water source and many other contributions that you have had to your community. That sounds like it should primarily be then addressed through the role of a member of parliament versus an individual doing those things to the community.
Yes. Well, the role of a member of parliament is legislature mainly, to legislate, to represent your people in parliament, that is legislature, but also to follow up on the projects that they're supposed to get in their areas, especially government programs. but also to lobby from friendly forces or NGOs. But it's mainly legislature. But you have to go an extra mile because of the status of the people you're living, especially we in the rural areas. Urban centers are different, but the role is basically legislating and lobbying for the government programs to ensure that they get down, but also to supervise and see whether people are actually benefiting from those programs.
All right, thank you so much.
That is supposed to be the role,
Yeah.
but you have to go an extra mile, which I'll talk about later.
That's very interesting. Agnes, if there was no money you had to inject into campaigns and you had been nominated by the Electoral Commission in a certain election X, what would be your confidence to win and why?
Thank you so much, our viewers. My coming into campaigns and even politics mostly hinges on my view of heaven. You see, the picture we have of heaven, even when we are growing up in Sunday school, is that there is no sickness, things are perfect. So it is that kind of world that I love, where there is fairness, where there is empathy, where everything is running well. There are roads. When we say sickness and we're talking about hospitals, maybe that is not a picture of heaven, but where if people are going to hospitals, they can be treated. Everything is working nice. Everything is good. Everyone is happy. So for me, when I'm coming into politics, I'm looking at a world where there is fairness, where everything is working well, where things are going right. So that is my motivation, and I believe that because I have that motivation at the center of my political career, I believe that I would be the right kind of person that would go to Parliament and make sure that whatever it is that is required to make my country or to make my city function the way I would like it to function, I would be lobbying for those kinds of things. So what motivates me is things like justice. Are people getting justice? There is a time when I used to go to Facebook, I used to go to Mama Tenda and find those women's stories, women who are having challenges, and I would cry like for 3 weeks over a certain problem. So I have a heart for the people. I want to serve the people. I'm concerned about the situations of people, and I would like to see, for example, orphans attended to. I grew up as an orphan, so I want to see orphans receiving some kind of, concern from the community, because I was the kind of orphan that I felt like people are not concerned, that, maybe we are not going to school, nobody's concerned. So those are the kinds of things that I would like to see in society. Fairness, justice. I would like to see empathy. I would like to see respect for women's rights. I would like to see everybody having access to school, having access to clean water. The communities have playgrounds for children. Children are happy. Everything is going nice and well. Marriages are working. So for me, that is my picture of the kind of Uganda that I would like us to have.
Okay, so for the kind of Uganda that you're referring to, if the government's mission is to ensure that it has a fully tarmacked country, that means that it's going to lag behind on the other commitments of all the other sectors, for example, water and sanitation, or even social sectors like gender, labor and social development. How would you balance that boat?
I would like to say that, first of all, the first administrative units we have as people, even as students, is our homes. Even you, if you're going to school, your parent wouldn't give you all the money that you need. So we've learned how to handle money. Everybody knows how to handle money. So I wouldn't say that we go back on some commitment, maybe on roads, having roads, and then we do not have sanitation. You balance. For example, we cannot expect that we tarmac the country in 1 year or in one term. But we look at how do we balance this and that, how do we make sure that we are attending to all the needs of the country. At the moment, we are having enough money as a country. We even have enough sources, enough sectors where we can get money, like tourism, but we are not exploring them maximally. So those are the kinds of things that I would be pushing for, to make sure that our coffers have the kind of money that can run this country. So we balance. Okay. We get money from, we say maybe we tarmac these major roads that bring in goods or agricultural products from up country. We get them tarmacked, and then at the same time we are making sure that we are providing the kind of services that we need: sanitation, healthcare, education for our communities or for our nation.
All right, yours would be one voice out of the 529 members of parliament, so you'd have to unify that in order to really see the reality of it. Joy Chirabo, you and the rest right now, first talk to us about the pressure, especially when it comes to the financial element. As you tell us, in the abstract world, if everything was perfect and you didn't really have to cough money, what would it look like for you to win an election?
Let me start with that, and then I'll come to the pressure. First of all, there are 3 categories of expenditure in elections, and some of them are mandatory, even in the ideal world. The first category of expenditure is branding materials and publicity. I'm in an electorate where I'm supposed to be voted by 30,000 people to swear in, and the registered voters are about 160,000, and the people, just the community members, are about 0.5 million Ugandans. For them to get to the point where they know your name, you spend a lot of money. And they cannot know you by walking all the time. You have to do branding materials, you have to sit in meetings where you're not invited, you have to attend weddings where you're not a necessary guest, they don't even know you, attend burials, be in the people. And some of those people, for them to feel like you should interrupt their functions, you have to be able to contribute something. So that is not even an electoral commission expenditure that is imposed on us. There is a second expenditure, which is voter bribery, where now we are all known. I'm known, Fiona is known, Honorable Chambade is known, but now, who do they choose? Then bribing starts. So that is the expenditure which I feel in the ideal world, if it was not in, I would win by far. And the other expenditure is the Electoral Commission indirect and direct fees. The direct fees, which are 3 million, I really agree with them, because I believe that even the most unserious of people will just fill the ballot paper and it will be as long from there to there. So that fee should stay. But also I feel like it being 3 million excluded so many people, and it should be how it was, 2 million. The other indirect fees of Electoral Commission are the ones which I don't agree with, which are because of our lack of trust for Electoral Commission, we have to pay agents on polling day to hold our DRR forms. You understand? And that expenditure is so hefty, because now personally I need over 500 people, and I need to feed them, I need to have supervisors, I need to have borders on a run the whole day. Because of what? Because I don't trust the EC person that is going to say and declare the exact result. I need to have my eyes, and my eyes can be bought. So some expenditures are inevitable, others can be excluded, and those are the highest. So I do believe that with these unnecessary expenditures, if they are not mandatory as they are today, I would win, because I can brand myself, I can speak, I can express myself, and in that case, if there was no voter bribery and lack of trust in EC, my budget would come from 100 to at least 60%. Number two is the pressure right now. Of course, towards voting day, the pressure is high, because that's when the two categories of expenditures that are not necessary come in, which is voter bribery and Electoral Commission, lack of trust for Electoral Commission that leads to indirect fees that we pay people and follow up, so that Electoral Commission represents us very well on the ground. And even following Electoral Commission to Kololo, make sure they are tallying well. These days there is even an expenditure which is, if you win, do you have money to be declared? Yeah. That is the reality of politics right now, because we saw anyway, it is more recently, there's this girl called Namfuma. She's in your race. And rumor has it that she won the NRM primaries, but she did not have the declaration fees. They told her, my dear, you have won, but how much do you have? You understand? So all those are things that we are thinking about as we speak. So with such fees excluded, today's pressure, like the pressure towards the end, would be very less, because that would mean reminding people and also waiting for Electoral Commission to do its job.
Okay, we look to women and power as we're looking through the lenses of leadership. Honorable Amelia Chambade, you're one that has been in Parliament, both as a minister and as a member of Parliament. There might be the affirmative action. Let's start with that. What has been the benefits and the opportunities that have come out of the government's affirmative action towards women in political leadership?
Well, but in my case, I did not stand as a woman MP.
Yeah.
I stood against men. Yeah. So I've not fully benefited from the
No, but you were able to still be in there and see how impactful it was.
Well, affirmative action, of course, it's been impactful on the women, especially the women MPs, because of the But still, I don't think it has been very effective, because you find that a woman is in charge of a full district. And that is very expensive for her. So I don't think really affirmative action has had an impact on the women in politics. Because for example, for me, I just have four sub-counties, because it's a constituency level. But the person who, a woman MP, has nine sub-counties. So I don't think affirmative action has really had an impact on women in politics. People assume that when someone goes into politics, they assume that you have money, that you can afford to do whatever you should. So what she is talking about, they think we are supposed to meet it, because by the time you go there, you're prepared. So affirmative action per se has not really had an impact on women in politics, especially in Uganda. It has to be reviewed in a way. Of course, as you come along, for example, as you're going up, for example, like university levels and all that, there are those impacts on women. But in politics, I do not agree that affirmative action has had any. I don't even know why.
We're still running on it.
Yes.
Okay, let me first ask Agnes, do you share the same opinion, or you are of the different view? And if it is, what would you specifically say this has been the significant impact courtesy of the affirmative action?
I would also share the school of thought of Madame Amelia, and but I was convinced out of it by, I think it was Madame Charity, I think, sometime when we were discussing women issues, and I bought into her school of thought, because the school of thought is that once we have more women leaders, we have role models for girls to achieve and to go into politics. So we have more faces like us, okay, me, because this understanding in against men in this race. So we have role models like me going out in parliament, coming on TV, presenting ourselves, giving hope to those girls that are in school that would like to pursue political careers, that actually they can pursue these careers. So there is the role modeling bit, and also the other aspect is the financial improvement in household incomes of when women go to parliament. Because if a woman is just, for example, maybe a teacher, I'm a teacher by profession, so, and then her income improves, and then she's able to go out and talk to women, they gain that confidence, and also her household income, her income in her family improves, and it will never be the same. The other aspect that was mentioned that I bought into was your expanded thinking, because remember, the kind of thinking that you gain out of being exposed, maybe you're traveling, you're having all these opportunities, you bring it up into your family. There is a way you open up the minds of your children and the people that are around you, and you give them new insight into the kind of world that is out there. You'll find that your children would never be the ordinary children, maybe in the district that you're coming from. So the women affirmative action, there is the bit where we have, I want us to say the truth. The women have not contributed, they have not made a contribution as women in parliament that is significant, that we can say and say they have pushed through this and this and this. Because when we had Charity here, who is one of the leaders of the women movement in Uganda, she was mentioning that even when you approach someone like the leader of parliament, whom you expect to be sympathetic towards women's, she will not be as receptive. So we have that challenge that the women in the house, the women in parliament, have not had significant, they do not rally around each other. They are not pushing through issues as women, as issues that affect women. We are not even seeing something as simple as pads being availed to all maybe secondary schools.
Even taxes on pads.
Even taxes on pads. So we have even simple issues that we are not pushing through.
Taxes on diapers.
Taxes on diapers. We haven't had something significant coming out of parliament. However, because of that school of thought that, you know, we provide a role, we come out as role models to the young girls who would want to pursue political careers in future. I bought into that school of thought, and I think it is a significant contribution that we make when we come into those positions.
All right, allow me, and I want Honourable to first respond to what she has submitted there. She raises quite a strong point there, and it's been one that has been raised by many women that have walked through the corridors of Parliament, that the in-house support has deterred them because there's no support or oneness or stronghold. It has deterred the influence and the impact that we should have been seeing by now.
Yeah, I think there's also a negative aspect to this. The women MP, because of the stress of work they have to do, you find that it has affected their social life. Most of them. I had women MP during my time. Most of them, their marriages fell apart because they don't have time for families anymore. They don't. So actually, they are not even a role model. So many, almost 70% of the women I had in Parliament, because there's so much work they have to cope with. There's so much demand out there at the grassroots that they have to meet. So you find them moving from place to place. You find them trying to lobby for things. There's so much pressure. There's so much need amongst the women, especially the rural women. And these women MPs who really want to perform have to go out of their way to serve these people. And as a result, they're detached. And the family life, the social life is affected. Then there is also this aspect of getting into relationships, unnecessary relationships, because they want to survive. They want more money to be able to meet the demands at the grassroots. Sometimes they go into relationships with their fellow MPs. I've heard of so many cases. And so there is that negative aspect, which I think that women in Parliament will need to get special coaching or counseling on how to manage us.
That aspect you've talked about is as an impact. It's an impact to them being women leaders in politics. Let's talk about within the precinct of women leadership in politics. What was your experience? You were under a woman leader in Parliament, the Right Honourable Rebecca Kadaga. And so when it came to united voices or united fronts over certain issues that should be affecting women, and women should come out as a strong voice, what was it like? Was it easy to unite, or was it difficult to unite with the women in Parliament?
It was a bit difficult to unite with the women in Parliament, especially when you're a cabinet minister. It was a bit difficult to relate with other women. You try to relate with them, but they think you are slightly advantaged over them. And there's a bit of a rift. And also some of us have not behaved very well when they get there and find that you're on front bencher. There's a way some of us would behave as vis-a-vis the backbenchers. So I feel that we need a platform to bring us together. Of course, there is a women's association in Parliament, Women MPs Association, but not many of us join. So there is a bit of a rift. We need to find a platform where we can unite.
Yeah.
I recall, I tried to meet some of my colleagues, the women MPs, to talk about the challenges at the grassroots, the challenges these young mothers have, the single mothers and the girl child. And some of them told me point blank, but for us, we come to make money. Said we came to make money. For us, you know, they give us their votes. For us, we came to make money. We came to make a living. So people go in with different intentions. The ones who are really keen to serve are very few. So there's also a challenge. That's why I feel that we need, I mean, that is the experience I had as me. Everybody has their perception of all this. But the experience I had What's that?
Okay.
Yeah.
Joy, this is what you're going to find. The horse's mouth has spoken. The realities that are in Parliament, if you were to win Nakawa East in a few days to come, those are the realities you'd be finding on ground. From your assessment, has there been any significant influence that you would pinpoint to and say it's because of this and this that courtesy of women in politics?
There wasn't much apart from the incident of Honorable Chinyamatama when Zaki disrespected her and the women came together to defend her against abuse because she was a woman. I think he said, you are Malaya. You know, it's always the easiest way for men to put a woman down. What do you say after they've said you're a Malaya?
There's also that.
Yeah. So women came together. But I also feel like there's no woman in Parliament that has brought a bill on the floor of Parliament that was calling for all women to unite. And maybe if such a day came, I feel like even those who are not concerned, even those who came to make money, there is a way you can make money by doing something for the people, and they take you back. So it's very ridiculous for you to say you came to make money and you're not even participating. How are you going to make money without participating? And what I can say about the affirmative action of making sure that there are women MPs per district, it was a good one, but it needs to also be reviewed to be more inclusive. It covers a very big area, and that's why some of us shy away from it, most especially the Kampala woman. It is ridiculous. I don't even know how they do it. Pray for those women. I am about to collapse in 10 parishes, and someone has about 100 parishes. I have 260 polling stations. And the woman MP Kampala has that times 10. That's about 2,000. Where do you get 2,000 people you trust? How do you pay them? It's ridiculous. And I feel like for the villages, maybe, because from Honorable Chamberlain's submission, it seems that her woman MP takes 2 constituencies, whereas the general whereas the general takes 1. But for us in Kampala, the woman MP takes almost 9 constituencies as 1. For Kampala, it needs to be reviewed as soon as possible because you voted by about 1.5 million people for you to swear in. So it's crazy. And delivering, and you find voters, they don't know. They will still blame you. Like they were saying about Malendi. You find me apologizing on her behalf. Omuchalo yalondewa Kawempe Makindi tasobola batuukako mwena bannange kyoteke mbadde ndowooza waffe waanakawo. They have no idea. So the second thing is, now for me, it is the first time a woman has appeared on the ballot. She has ever appeared 2016, but they don't know. They didn't even notice that there was a woman on the ballot.
In 2016?
Yeah. So they keep telling me, yeah, go so say. But even me, they usually think I'm for woman MP. So they are like, so, nkwagala nnyo, naye njagala ne gundi, mwembi njabawa. To other people she's talking about are on the same ballot. But ndowooza oli ku kyabakyala. So we are finding it.
So in other words, also in people's mindsets, in our communities, the electorate, when they see a woman, yes, they are directly placing you on the woman ticket.
And some of them get so irritated. Why are you standing on the men's position?
That is.
Yes, there is a woman's position. They have no idea. They've not been educated that this position takes a bigger area.
How do we resolve the things that you have another one?
I have so many points.
Please.
The third is the time and women in all sectors. Usually the biggest price we have to pay is time. I do feel like money can be made, but now for us who are having young babies, being able to be pregnant in the race, then you have a child, then you are breastfeeding, then your husband needs you to make breakfast and lunch. It is one aspect that you cannot equally have as a man. A man looks for money, lives at home, works out, comes back at 11. There's no phone call that follows after. So it is an unfair race to run against men, but also there is a certain grace on women that
to be able to perform all those roles. And
also grace from the electorate. There's a way they sympathize with you. So God has always found a way to defend us, and I thank him for it. The other aspect is acceptability filter. women have in the community, they have a filter and it is standard. Are you married? Is any man managing you?
It actually came out in the report. Yesterday, the Daily Monitor ran a report on what are some of the reasons as to why women are failing to break the glass ceiling in politics.
I actually have an
married?
aunt who stood in Chitagwenda for woman MP. And in Chitagwenda, she stood there because she was married there, not because she was born there. And the moment she had issues with her husband, and the husband stood on a platform and said, this woman is not the right person. She lost her vote 2 days to voting day.
On that note, allow me to say, Simba Wakati, Agnes, between us here is actually a lived experience. Please share your experience with us.
Over
the man part of politics.
I don't want to overshare it because I keep feeling like I keep bringing maybe my issues on.
But it's representing the reality for many women.
Yeah, because in 2020 I decided to leave my corporate job and stand for elective politics, and I went still for the Kampala Woman MP National Unity Platform flag. I didn't get it, but I got so many challenges that totally disorganized me from participating in politics, and they were marital. Like the first one was that I'm not allowed to stand. Like before I got married, I'd actually informed my husband that I'm going to be standing in politics at some point in my life. I come from a political family. So he thought maybe I was kidding, maybe I was joking, maybe I was not serious. But along the way, after having 4 kids, I told him, now I'm ready. And he was like, no, you cannot. And there was a lot of pressure, there was a lot of fights. And
this is after you considering that, okay, my marital responsibilities, a husband, produce, you've done those.
I've done those, and actually, he would find me home and not even think that I've been to a TV program, because I was just doing my so he would hear that Agnes was here and she was talking and she's very outspoken, and he cannot believe that I'm the same person that is at home, because I was perfectly managing my domestic responsibilities, which I believe we are gifted as women to have that kind of responsibility, and I take it very seriously as a mother and even as a wife. But then I found that actually my marriage broke apart just because I considered standing for elective politics. So I would like to say that for women, it is a big issue, and for their spouses especially. If they do not have support from their spouses or from their partners, it is very difficult for them to stand for elective politics, because you need someone to hold the guard for you back at home when you're out here. You need someone to be saying, maybe let me go and check on the children during lunchtime. Let me do this. Let me take you for a spa. Let me give you this money for fuel for today. So you need that kind of support from your spouse. So I would say that it is a big challenge for women who are going into elective politics, like she's saying, if they do not have support. And you find so many marriages by the breaking during that season or right after, because of the lack of support when they're in parliament. There is lack of support from the side of the spouse. Of course, we also have the kind of women that are very arrogant, they've gotten some money, so they are feeling sweet, they're feeling high up there, and those I think are a different kind. But on the whole, we all have daughters. We all have girl children. These girl children need role models up there. So if you see a woman who has potential, who is going to represent, she's been gifted, she has a talent in leadership, support her, because we still have many other women in other walks of life. So I would say that especially when we have women that are standing, communities should rally around these women. We need to support them because they have families, they have marriages. Let's give them all the support that they, even from the side of the women's families. These women need support.
Honorable Amelia has been saying yes, until I could no longer count your yeses.
No, I've experienced it when I joined politics. I didn't get any support from my spouse, and of course it culminates into withdrawal syndromes in your home. You draw apart. You start doing your things as a woman, and the man starts doing his things, and as a result, you're looked at as the financial muscle in the home. So whatever happens, go to your mother. She's the one in politics. So, and I've seen so many homes like that. So women in politics, most of them have had that experience.
How were you able to push through that barrier and still stand on your ground and what you believed you were called for in leadership? Perseverance.
You persevere. If you want something, you have to go out and do it. you just have to fight this, because those are detractors. They detract you from that. If you want to do it, do it. But I want to warn or to caution young people who are coming into politics. They might pretend to be supporting you now, but once you get there, there's so much envy, because you start traveling, you start going around with your male MPs, then that builds resentment, envy, jealousy, and fights. So how do you balance it is the issue. It's very hard to balance domestic issues and politics. It's very hard, even family. So what you have to do is to involve your husband, whatever you're doing, but you can't. Because now you're going to the villages to see your people. You are traveling to New York for a conference. Are you going to go with him everywhere? Some of them have demanded, some spouses have demanded that I have to go with you, in Parliament, they give you an extra ticket, I have to go wherever you go. But you can't work. It just can't work. So you find that women in politics, especially in Africa, is very, very stressful. Mm. And you walk through a lot of hardship. You're fighting the domestic issues, you're fighting the constituency, your area of operation, or political operation. You're also fighting the male also. Now you young ladies, for us we are old, but young ladies, I've witnessed young ladies, they find a very difficult period when they've just joined politics, because every male MP would want to try her. All these people who are working with us would want to try her. So you have to be very firm, very strong, but also have integrity on how you handle yourself. Okay. So domestic violence is one of the issues that have come out. That
has come out, and unfortunately still not being addressed by women in politics and in parliament. That's very unfortunate. It's not even the only thing. There's the land ownership, women owning land. Yes. That issue has been on the floor of parliament for the longest time, and women are the least vocal about it. There's also the maternal mortality issue that affects us, our sisters and mothers and things like that. But still, when it comes up through the different ministries and really on the floor, it's not, these are not issues that are receiving the attention or the voice of women in politics.
Actually, I do believe that some of them are natural, and there's nothing policies can do about them. Because if you say marriage, your husband the government cannot force him to accept that you go into politics, or it cannot force him to be supportive. Those are natural barriers. There's also tones. Mm-hmm. Now for us in Uganda, there is a way a woman should behave or should talk. Now they are coming to steal land for people. You have to bring out your fighting boots. And then they're like, no, mukazi ngata hinabis. Ayogerera waguru, abuka. But it comes with the role. Yeah. And then the electorate will be mad at you. There's also dressing code. Now,
just talk on it. You've touched on the point. You must wear the gomesi. So how many gomesis have you worn on your campaign?
You need to wear a gomesi. Yeah. And at the same time, you need to reach as far and as to many people as possible. In Uganda, you can't wear a trouser. There is a certain percentage of people who will take you very unserious. So you have to be in a dress. Gomesi, now for me, just keep it for ceremonial things. But you have to wear a dress, and it has to be long.
Below the knees.
Yes. So these are contradictions. Yeah. And you have to maneuver them. Yeah. Then there is sexism. Though I do thank God that in Akawa, I've not really faced a lot of it. But there are places like Kawempe, they are not yet up to terms how a woman can represent
religious and cultural gaps.
Because now it's predominantly Muslim. A Muslim that has not yet understood how does all of us men send Priscilla to speak for all of us. How? And I'm very sure Honorable
as if there's none amongst us.
Yes, it's finding a hard time. So the barriers, some of them are natural, and policies can do little apart from time. Because even where we are today has been a dream for so many women.
That's why I want to bring in Honorable. You are wanting to come back into Parliament. Is there anything that you see has changed, or it's going to be the same fierce fight that you're going to face and the same challenges that are awaiting you should you be elected?
It's going to be the same, but I have a track record of the things I've done.
Okay.
So, in what I've realized in these campaigns is that people have started looking at people on the basis of merit. What have you done? How was your performance? Okay,
so let's talk about it from the lens of the electorate.
Yes.
Some of them approached you and said, Honorable Komao, why? And what reasons were they giving against the incumbent?
Remember, I had decided never to come back, and I even had public statements, and it took me 3 years to take a decision and to come back. And they put me under a lot of pressure. And what surprised me is that they would go through prominent people. For example, you see a bishop coming to visit you. You see a sheikh, you know they'll get into through the religious
You're just
leaders.
ordinary Amelia, you're no longer minister or
They'll
honorable.
come to you through traditional leaders, for example, like Uganda. They'll come through religious leaders, different types of people. And that pressure became too much. They'll come visiting you. Imagine you're not even in politics. You want to lead your quiet life at home. You see them coming to you and trying to convince you to come back. You know, you made a difference in this area. Please come back and do this. Come back and continue this. But then I also looked at the government projects that I had pursued, that I had tried to put in place. For example, like having a hospital status, a market. I had achieved all that, all these things were set, but the incumbent just didn't follow up. And you know, in Parliament, where you have more than 560 people, members of Parliament, everybody is pulling
towards themselves.
Pulling towards themselves.
Yeah.
So I said, now I'm the one who started some of these projects, why don't I go back? Then, of course, there is this NOP versus NRM. I've been an NRM person for many years. So I also looked at that and said, but why don't we bring back NRM? I'm sorry to say that, but this I'm sorry to bring in that.
It is the
but there was
reality.
also that element.
Yeah.
So it is because of that pressure. But I started testing the waters by moving around our villages. You remember I was an advisor in industry and I was looking at the projects that they have. So I used that office to move around the villages, but trying to test also to see if I came back, would I really, first of all, have an impact? Two, are people still receptive towards me positively? And I realized that they were very, very hungry for me, started giving me gifts. Wherever I go, they'll give me chicken, but I've never experienced that, because wherever I would go before, I would have to prepare, put tents, put chairs, but this time they would say, we are going to prepare for you. So I realized that shift. And of course, I got wooed into that. So let's hope for the best for the 15th.
There's also another thing that has appeared on this table. Why are women standing in men's positions?
Yeah, that is also another question. In fact, I'm the only woman actually on my list. My reason why, in the beginning I had that perception that once you stand in a woman's position, you just handle women. But for me, I was looking at the broader perspective, because I went into a constituency where they had nothing, no electricity, no water, no. So I thought that a full MP would be the one to ensure that you access, or that people access these services. Whereas as a woman MP, you're a bit limited. You can't go, you can go beyond that, but it's a lot of pressure, because even the scope of having women is already too much work.
Yeah.
So for me, I was looking at that. That's why I decided to stand as a woman MP, as a male, not a male, as a full
as a direct
MP.
ticket.
Now you see how I'm looking at myself.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's a perception issue.
Yeah.
But there are gaps. You know, when you look at what we're saying, you can see that there are cultural, religious, cultural and religious
And natural.
natural gaps that we have to address. We always talk about women's liberation. Liberation, yeah. We're not liberated yet. We're still confined within our small cocoons of culture. What she's talking about is very true. You can't go dressed in trousers. Oh my goodness. People will not vote for you because of that. You can't go dressed in a short skirt.
We also have, you've talked about the cultural, religious systems that are posing barriers for women, escalating in leadership and in politics. However, there's also the electoral systems, I believe, and structural barriers that are present before us. For example, across Africa, we do see different electoral systems. Some countries are proportionate in representative, placement of men and women. Others do a lot of majority systems. And then some do the mix. Uganda, we're largely operating on the simple majority model, and that's the 66% men and the 34% women currently in the 11th Parliament. So, Agnes, through your lenses, does our electoral system actually advantage men over women, and who often has the deeper financial network? Of course, the men do have a deeper financial network, but what reforms would then be considered in order to help women have a comfortable and fair playground, as the Electoral Commission is committed to really?
I think it starts way from school. We see that girls compete favorably against boys in school. So the question is, why isn't that being reflected in our politics? What is the problem? Because we should be politics should be attracting the same number of women or girls or ladies to participate in these on these, for example, direct seats, so that we have maybe 50-50 women and men in Parliament. But why isn't that so? And remember, we are even, if you say that we have 34%, remember most of them are women. Women seats. So it means that if we didn't have even women seats, we would possibly be at 5% or something. So what can we do to motivate girls to look at politics as a career, especially those who have leadership potential, those who can take this country forward, those who have ideas? How can we attract them into politics? Number one, through role modeling. We need to have more women leaders going out in schools and motivating. But of course, if parents, or if these girls keep hearing, or if the boys who are even going to marry them keep hearing everything that happens in Parliament or in politics about these women, they will not encourage their wives or their girlfriends or their daughters to go into politics, because they are seeing whatever it is that is happening there that can disadvantage their marriages or their future. Because if you are saying that most marriages break when people go into Parliament, then it means that nobody is going to advise. You will find that Namaganda's husband will not encourage her, or will say, I'm separating from you because you've decided to pursue a political career. So we need to have we need to have motivational talks for girls to join politics, to look at the benefits that they can add to politics, and to have programs that are targeted towards attracting girls into political
Also speaking
careers.
to the system and its convenience towards men, we're not only talking about the Electoral Commission or the general political structure system. Let's also talk about the political party system and how it has created an environment that sidelines women a lot, and how that gap can be addressed.
First of all, let me briefly talk about National Unity Platform and the mandate that we have. In our previous manifesto, we were looking at having 50% women in leadership in National Unity Platform. So already it is in our structures for us to have women leaders. But I would also say that we also have NRM, and we have seen the president pushing forward many women into politics by first of all opening up and making sure that we have the women seats in parliament. Although I would say that he has done that because women are not very antagonistic to his policies when he's passing them. So maybe there's an ulterior motive to why he wants women there in those positions. That's what I would say. But again, I think everybody's trying, especially when it comes to, if you demonstrate that you are capable. We saw Betty Kamya opening a political party, and we saw them at that time in FDC being given these good positions. So I think that right now, political parties have actually done their part. If you present yourself as someone who has potential to lead a certain aspect within the political party, we've not had many women coming out to complain. Because if you look at a structure like NRM, you see that there is a women deputy, and also we've seen the vice president. We've seen him pushing very many women within the NRM.
Okay, so the political parties are trying. Let me come to Joy here. You did make a list of so many barriers that really it's come down to systemic and structural in terms of you participating in politics. What are the solutions around those issues that you raised earlier?
I do believe that some of, now like this one of the direct MP seat being open for all of us and women having a larger area, I feel like that can be only, it can be handled by putting a policy where maybe the constituency can be expanded but have 2 MPs, a woman and a man. So we can have time to go back and forth and find a policy that can be good for it. And then this thing of voters having a hard time to think that you're on the same ballot with men, that one it will come with time. Okay. The same way even people are getting used to women standing. There are some women who only dreamed about a day like this. So it will, now we are 2 women on our ballot and people are coming to terms. I'm very sure a woman next time will have an easier task. Okay. Then the one of women, time and being able to handle your natural roles as a woman and as a mother, that one is a matter of God. And also the electorate being very sympathetic and being aware what a woman has to go through to compete with a man. Those are natural barriers. Like I said, there is not much you can do about it. It takes a woman who is twice as good to beat a man who is half as good as she is.
Allow me to actually then interrogate that with our final question, which I want to present to Honorable Amelia Chambade. Where are the women at the very top? One of the biggest disappointments that we have in the presidential race this time round is that all 8 are men. What does this abscess tell us about women in politics, ambition, opportunity, and intimidation?
Well, that shows actually that I'm also disappointed to see that there is no female in this race. I had an opportunity to interact with one of them who stood last time, and I asked her, "Aren't you standing again?" And she said, "No." I said, "Why?" I said, "I got a lot of intimidation and harassment from the men mainly, but even the women. So we women also are not very, very fair to our colleagues. So we are also a bit antagonistic. And you find that in most cases, the people who fight you in the race are mainly women, your fellow women. So there's a lot of intimidation and frustration. I could see even in Parliament, if you brought a motion, I remember I was a Minister of Trade and Industry. And whenever I would bring a motion, if it is my colleague, a male colleague has brought it, it is okay, they pass it, and not many questions. But if you brought a motion in Parliament, even if it favored,
you would have to first talk to your male colleagues behind the doors.
But the female would be the worst. They would fight it more. My colleagues will fight it more, would fight that motion. And they start lobbying against it, using the male. So you find that even us women, we might blame men, but I think we are
our biggest barriers.
We are our biggest barriers.
Wow. All right, in closing remarks, where do we go from there if we are our biggest barrier? Joy.
In closing remarks, I do believe that women most especially in a day like this and us in Kampala, all these men you see in suits doing great things, most of them were raised by a great woman. And most often than not, without even a husband present. So women should believe in each other, and even the whole world should believe in us. We are doing great things against overwhelming odds. And also I do believe that some of us, given an opportunity, we do better, because my colleague said that President Museveni might be having his own motives by promoting women close to him because they don't antagonize his policies. That's a very terrible reputation to build, because now for us on ground, we are not going to get votes if people perceive us like that. They will say, those ones, they will just make it very easy. So once given opportunities, let us stay focused and let us play our role and not just go to become winning.
Ambassador of role modeling, how do we close this?
First of all, I would like to say that when it comes to Wakiso and Kampala, I'm shocked that we did not get two women representatives like other cities like Fort Portal, Hoima, Gulu. They have two women representatives for those districts. So I think also that is antagonizing the leadership, and that is why the women MPs in Wakiso and Kampala have a lot of responsibility. Going forward, I would think that sensitizing men, for me, that has been a key. Sensitizing men about the benefits that a woman will bring to your life once she's in leadership, or supporting these women would go a long way in having these women get the kind of support that they have.
Okay.
Yes.
Right. Honorable?
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
But before I go there, I would like to comment on the issue she made, the comment she made that the president-elect woman. I think that was it's a misconception, because promoting women are the cradle of our economies. Women are the cradle of our home. Once you promote a woman, you have promoted the entire family. You have promoted society. So, and mostly women are women of integrity. So that is, I think, the main reason why one would support women. So way forward, I feel that we women, maybe we should start up, for example, we women who have been in this for some time, we could start up organizations to bring even young politicians, women, female politicians, and sensitize them about all these dynamics, the positive and the negative dynamics in society or in politics.
All right.
But at the same time, even going down to institutions and talk to the young girls so that we nurture them.
So in other words, start changing the narrative from the grassroots so that we have a better crop of female leaders. Well, ladies, it's been a pleasure. I can't give you that moment, unfortunately. Our time is fast spent. Joy, you talk to the constituents. This brings us to the end of our discussion here at Morning at NTV. It's been very interesting to hear the women in power giving out their voices and the true cost of leadership in politics, something for all of us to ponder on in our different capacities and positions of leadership and power. We do have our correspondents on ground coming through to give us election-related updates.